Welcome to the Fast Mode podcast series. I'm Tara Neil, and with me today is Purva Rajkotia, Global Director of Global Business Strategy and Intelligence, and the Connectivity and Telecom Practice Lead at IEEE Standards Association. IEEE Standards Association is a leading consensus building organization that nurtures, develops, and advances global technologies. The organization brings together a broad range of individuals and organizations from a wide range of technical and geographic points of origin to facilitate standards development and standards-related collaboration. With collaborative thought leaders in more than 160 countries, it promotes innovation, enables the creation and expansion of international markets, and helps protect health and public safety. Prior to IEEE, Purva held leadership positions with Qualcomm, Samsung, and Disney, as well as in various standards organizations, including ITU, 3GPP, 3GPP2, and Senilec. He has authored more than 100 patents granted by the US Patent Office and other worldwide patent organizations. Purva joins us as part of our exclusive editorial segment on generative AI for network management. Welcome, Purva. Great to have you on today's episode.
Thank you so much, Tara. It's my pleasure.
All right, okay, so let's zoom right into today's topic. How, in your opinion, can Gen AI be used in network management? Can you share any new or exciting use cases?
Sure, absolutely. So, again, thank you for this opportunity, Tara. So, before I answer this question, let me just set a level field in terms of what Gen AI is, because that's going to help us address the questions. So, when people talk about Gen AI is basically used to refer to algorithms that are capable of generating new content or solutions by learning patterns from existing data. So, unlike our traditional AI that focuses on classification or prediction, Gen AI can create new configurations. It automates the processes and also simulates various scenarios for network environments. And this capability of Gen AI basically opens up this whole new realm of possibilities for network operations, for network management, for network configuration. Now, as to the question, can Gen AI be used for network management? The answer is absolutely yes. There are lots and lots of newer use cases that are coming up, and for example, the configuration generation or predicting network issues or optimizing network performance. But there are also some key applications that Gen AI is being used currently in terms of network management. So, for example, I give an example of configuration generation. So, if you look at Gen AI right now, because it uses the pre-existing data to come up with the new solutions, it has the history of what the network was operational on. So, it can use that device configuration based on some predefined templates or some specific requirements that is going to pre-fill the whole configuration table or the configuration tableau. Now, using that, it helps significantly because it takes away the risk or the errors that would come with manual configuration. So that is a big advantage. The other thing that we see Gen AI to be useful also is in terms of detection and predictive maintenance. So because as mentioned, that Gen AI uses the pre-existing data, so it's aware that if there were supposed to have some network behavioral pattern changes, or there is going to be some kind of network failure, that what are the conditions that are going to happen. And because Gen AI is aware of that data, it can now detect this error beforehand and then create like a predictive maintenance. So they are basically a solutions that have been provided even before the things can hurt or impact the network. Also, the Gen AI can be used to adjust the routing of traffic for optimal performance and the data flow. Gen AI can also be helpful in terms of your network performance because it knows from the network data as to how to optimize the network for for a given performance, for a given user experience. Now, there are also some things when it comes to Gen AI that if there is going to be any kind of a security threat, Gen AI is going to be able to detect the patterns that are going to happen before any kind of malicious traffics are going to happen, or a pattern is going to occur. So, for example, we have like denial of services. If the scenarios like denial of services are going to happen, Gen AI, because it knows that when this kind of error happens, that what was the network status, what was the network state. And after this particular state, this was the error that followed. Gen AI is now going to have this information so that it can again use to proactively identify any new threats that is going to happen or impact the network. It also helps with capacity planning because now, again, based on the historical data, it's going to now know that what is the optimal resources that is going to be required in terms of network optimization, network planning. Some of the other interesting use cases that we are actually looking at as part of our work here in IEEE is the concept of self-healing network. Because Gen AI can now automatically detect and address like this network issues when it's going to happen. So what we are looking at the possibility is that in case there is an error or in case there is a network failure, that because of Gen AI, that you will be able to now create a self-healing network, so that the network, even if there is a flaw, it will automatically detect and address the network issues, and against and take the necessary corrective actions to form for the network to be more functional. And then, as I mentioned, we are also looking at the right way of utilizing the resources. Because like if you look at any given network, the network is not going to be fully loaded 100% of the time. Dependent on the nature of the traffic it has to handle, dependent on the time of the day, dependent on the events that are going to happen in a given year, the network is going to be loaded
Yes.
accordingly. Now, having this up prior information that Gen AI is going to help us in terms of determining the the network behavior, network pattern. What we can do is now we can optimize the network design based on it. That okay, this network is going to be unloaded or not going to be fully loaded, say 80% of the time. It's only 20% of the time that network is going to be loaded. Now take into considerations factor like cost or performance or scalability. Do we want to design a network which is going to be operational 100% of the time, or do we want to design something which is going to be 80% of the time and then do a backup or then do an add-on network only during this 20% of the time when there are events like sports events or other areas where there is going to be more traffic consumption. So all those factors actually that go into designing the network, and that's where we see Gen AI playing a significant role in terms of network management capabilities.
Wow, amazing. So you talked about self-healing networks, right? So does that mean that, we are going to very soon move towards agentic AI? Or, how does the mechanism of translating the outputs of Gen AI to actual network actions work?
Yeah. So when we talk about self-healing network, what we are basically, and as you know, Tara, like people have talked about self-healing networks now for a while, and in the network domain, like there have been many different ways people have tried to create a self-healing network. But when we start talking about Gen AI in relationship to a self-healing network, what we want to know is that the network should be able, based on the data it has, a prior data it has, that to automatically detect and address network issues. So, for example, if we know that after a certain behavior, after a pattern that's been repetitive for some time, it normally leads to a network failure. If that is that pattern that is known to the network for a while, what the network can start doing is that even before that pattern occurs, the traffic pattern or denial of service patterns or congestion of traffic pattern happens, the self-healing network is now going to automatically detect that this is something that's going to happen. So even before that thing results in a network failure, it's going to address the network issues beforehand with minimal human intervention. So, for example, it says that the traffic is getting loaded, that the network is getting super loaded because of some untowards event or because of some unforeseen event. With this particular Gen AI capabilities, what is going to happen is that when you see that pattern, the network itself is going to now start allocating more resources to address the traffic. Now, this is going to happen with minimal human intervention. So, a human is not interacting here in terms of increasing the traffic. So, what is actually happening here is the network has sensed that there is going to be that there is a lot of traffic that's happening, and that could lead to a network failure. So, before even that event could happen, it starts allocating more resources so that the traffic can be offloaded before there is a network failure. So now here we are basically leveraging the AI capabilities that we had to basically implement corrective action. So for example, the traffic, extra loading traffic, we took a corrective action of providing additional resources. If there was some other issue that one particular channel is getting loaded because you are there is a lot of video traffic on flowing on that particular channel, then either we can split that traffic into two separate channels, with one handling the video traffic and one handling the audio traffic, or we are just going to increase the bandwidth of that particular channel so that it can support that particular video stream that's happening. So all these decisions that are going to happen now is going to happen with the AI capabilities, even without human intervention. And that's how basically meant by self-healing network, that now the network has the intelligence that because of the data it has or the traffic pattern it has seen, that it is now going to take a prior or corrective actions so that there is no network failure, or even if there is a network failure, that they have immediately allocated the resources, that the network gets functional immediately without any kind of user or interruption of service, or without any kind of degradation of service for the end user.
Wow, this sounds really amazing. So, will integrating generative AI functionalities into legacy CSP systems be a challenge? Because we have things being done in a certain way for so long. So, and how do you think CSPs are going to address this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good question. I think the reality is that yes, if you want to integrate a Gen AI functionalities into a legacy CSP, it's going to be a significant challenge. I mean, there is no sugarcoating over here, because and there are many issues because of it, and many of those things are as you correctly point out, are because of the way the network has already been designed. So, for example, like if you when the original CSPs, they were designing the network, the legacy systems, they were not designed with keeping in mind that technologies like Gen AI are going to come in the future. So
Yep.
this is going to lead into compatibility issues. Like we are going to now look at the issues wherein the Gen AI model that we want to run on an existing legacy systems, they won't be compatible. So there is, because of which there is going to be performance bottlenecks. There are going to be integration failures. There are going to be difference in infrastructure and software requirements. Also, if you look at the existing network right now, the most of the data in an organizations, they are operated in data silos, wherein like one information is isolated from the other department or other systems. Now, for Gen AI to be very functional, it needs a very comprehensive data sets to function effectively so that it can make the right decisions. Now, if you have these data silos, this is going to cause an issue, or it will limit the AI capabilities to generate accurate and meaningful insights. Also, we have to take into consideration the security concerns, because now we are transitioning Gen AI platform onto a legacy system. There are going to be significant security
Yes.
concerns, because when the legacy systems were designed, they did not have robust security measures to protect against these sophisticated threats. that is going to come with AI technologies. So again, that's an issue that's going to be a challenge for a CSP if they were to incorporate Gen AI as part of their network. Again, there is cost and resource allocation, because whenever you try to integrate a new technologies onto an existing platform, there is going to be significant cost. Now, the cost could be either in terms financially or in terms of human resources. You have to train the staff, you have to update your hardware, you have to ensure that there is continuous support, you have to make sure that the software that you have is the right configurations, the software is of the right version. And all this thing is going to put a strain on any organization's budget and workforce. And the last but not the least is basically the human factor. I mean, any time when we talk about changes, and especially in a larger organization, the employees, since they are accustomed to doing work in a traditional systems
Yeah.
in a certain way, if you are going to bring in newer technologies, there is going to be some resistance in adopting newer technologies. Now, if you want to integrate these new processes into the existing CSP, you need to have the employees that are going to be using the system be a friend of this change. So these are some of the things that we see in terms of the challenges that a CSP is going to face when it comes to integrating the network. Now, when we talk about how do we overcome these challenges, I think any newer software or any newer technology that needs to be integrated always needs to take into consideration that the integration strategy is a phased strategy, or it's a gradual strategy if you want to be effective. So rather than doing and making a complete overhaul, that okay, now today we are operating the legacy system, from tomorrow everything is Gen AI, it's
Yeah,
not going
not
to
going to
work.
happen. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so you have to take like the Gen AI implementation in specific steps and target the areas that is going to benefit the most. So, for example, like if you want to do more like network monitoring, so just target the network monitoring part of the CSP's network and say this is the particular area that we are going to try using Gen AI, see what are the challenges, see how it's integrated, and explain the benefits you see with integrating Gen AI into the system, because that is also going to win over the audience. That is going to be a challenge if the benefits are not explained to them. So this approach will allow like better troubleshooting and adjustment to the without disrupting the entire system. We also, and again, is Gen AI or any AI system, the reality is it is based on the data. So what we need to do, as I mentioned earlier, that there are data silos within the network. So what we want to do is, for an effective Gen AI integration, we have to consolidate the data that the CSP has into a unified system. Now, either we can do that by data warehousing or by APIs, wrapper APIs, or other kind of information which is going to provide a comprehensive data set for the AI to process. So that way, the Gen AI is more effective. And it's always said with AI system, and I think you might have heard also, Tara, that for Gen AI, for any AI system, data input is the most crucial step in terms of determining how successful that AI technology is. And basically, they basically say that data, if there is a garbage in, the garbage is going to
Yes.
be out. So for
Yes.
that, you need to have a very curated data, you need to have a complete set of data, you need to have a secure data. And since hence data consolidation is very crucial in terms of a successful integration of Gen AI into a CSP. Also, we want to provide like enhanced security measures to make sure that your cybersecurity frameworks that we have in terms of deploying Gen AI technology, whether be it in terms of security audits, whether be in terms of implementing ethical AI, whether it means in terms of advanced encryption techniques, all these things are provided in the right fashion in terms of ensuring that your data is not corrupt or it's not been tampered with. And then there is this cost management and resource allocation, as I mentioned, that you have to, because this is going to take a lot of, when we are talking about integrating a new technology, it's a huge task within an organization.
Yes, yes.
So when we are going to look at the integration of the technology, you have to have like a better cost management and resource allocation. Businesses should conduct basically a cost benefit analysis to understand that what are the financial implications of implementing Gen AI. Because once you get that buy-in, that is going to help in understanding the benefits of AI for the network. Also, as mentioned, that we should take the approach of developing a scalable solution, or a phased solution, or a gradual solution, so that any solution that you take, you see the benefits and then scale it, so that you are now going to manage the cost and also making sure that the resources are used efficiently. So these are some of the things that I can look into. And at the end of the day, also please ensure that when we are doing this kind of management, the resistance that comes from within the
Yes,
organization
yes.
is overcome. That there is, you have the very effective change management. Like the team is there who are going to be our partners in adopting the solutions. If we take that path, I think that the integration could be a simpler task than if we just go and start doing the Gen AI implementation all of a sudden, because that's where the challenge could exacerbate if there are no clearly defined strategy in terms of adopting Gen AI.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask, in our next questions about bad data and also energy concerns. But you have already touched about that. Like energy concerns are part of the cost that you just explained, and also,
Right.
bad data. In terms of bad data, you have already mentioned about how the siloed, the fragmented data systems should actually be integrated before you have this running on in your systems. So
Right.
that too. So I guess maybe we can explore one other bit about this whole Gen AI based networking, which is the expertise needed in the prompting side. Basically you have all the infrastructure, you have the systems which are the models, very advanced models and stuff, but you need to know what to ask. The prompt engineering bit, where does that expertise come from? That basically resides with the humans themselves, right?
That is correct. So actually, not. I'll try to answer that question in relationship to what we have seen recently. I think, as you know, within the AI world, I think within the last month or so, there has been an upheaval wherein we saw that a Chinese startup, DeepSeek, they came up with their model, which was very efficient compared to our large language models that were basically used. And that's where I think that would address like some of the things that we talked about in terms of data, energy consumption, and the prompting. Because if you look at the DeepSeek model, what the DeepSeek actually tried to do is, rather than creating the large language model, which is going to consume significant amount of energy and resources and cooling, what they did in terms of prompting or in terms of getting the answers was a technique basically called a distillation. So with the distillation technique, you basically do is you try to extract knowledge by from your larger AI model to create a smaller one, but which is geared and suited for that particular application. So with that, you can allow a smaller team with no resources to make an advanced model. So when the prompts that are going to be designed or that needs to be designed in terms of querying the model, I think the distillation technique can help us significantly over there, because if you ask the right questions from to the large language model, and based on the responses that we get from the large language model, you can create a smaller model which is more effective, which is more geared towards the particular application that you want to do, and that is going to even address the concerns about the energy, the power consumption, the kind of the data that we want to use. Because if you are just going to go with the traditional large language models, I think definitely we all know that there are going to be
Yes.
significant amount of energy.
Yes.
We talk about like nuclear energies and very sophisticated cooling techniques and all those kind of things, which are going to add a significant cost to the Gen AI model. But once you start looking at an improvised algorithms, because if you look at what DeepSeek did, DeepSeek did not invent a distillation. distillation has been there for a long time. I think it was initially designed, developed by Google. It was the Google team that actually came up with this distillation technique. But what DeepSeek did is like they improvised their AI algorithm in a way that that reduced the computational demand, that reduced the impact of data center thing, that reduced the scaling issue. And because of that, what were able to generate was an energy efficient, cost efficient data model. So I would say that when it comes to prompting, I think that's very crucial from that perspective, because based on the right questions that you ask, you can create your own model based on distillation, which is going to then drive your network and just going to address the issues about the energy consumption, or making sure that the right kind of models are being generated, which are more efficient for the CSPs for adoption.
Brilliant. I think these are really great insights into the topic of Gen AI and how how it's going to be adopted in a major way in today's networks. So with that, I think we have come to the end of the session. So thank you, Purva, for joining us and for sharing these insights, especially how CSPs can adopt Gen AI into their networks and the benefits that are in the pipeline. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tara. Again, it was my pleasure talking with you.
Awesome. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for listening. If you guys want to learn more, visit www.ieee.org and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in technology and telecommunications. See you in our next session. Bye-bye.